I'm Shane, and with me as always is Trey.
Yes, sir. How's it going, everybody? We appreciate you for stopping by this Friday evening, getting pretty close to summer. It's definitely getting a little hot and sweaty up in here, but we appreciate you guys for stopping by. We appreciate you guys for checking us out, supporting us, whether that be live as this is going on or in the previous clips. I know my guy Shane's been getting some clips going, which I appreciate. I mean, I also pull my weight on that, but shout out to Shane for that. And we're just excited to keep bringing you guys these podcasts as we keep growing on the community that we have accumulated through grinding and putting out these podcasts consistently, which we've been doing a very good job at. I know Shane's a busy guy, but when it comes to me and when it comes to you guys, the loyal fans, he's willing to fit us into his very tight, very busy schedule. So shout out to Shane for that. But we got some NFL happenings coming up. We got the some college football, Madden 25. The release dates are in fact confirmed. College football 25 is going to be dropping July 7th, and Madden 26 will be dropping August 10th. And they have done the cover shoot for college football 2026. A lot of popular YouTubers and game changers have been flown out to shoot the cover shoot. I mean, I probably play more college football, I play more Madden. I could pretty much guarantee you that I know more about the game than half those people that got flown out on a trip. But Shane, I don't have 100,000 subscribers, so that means I don't mean much. So that's kind of what I have to figured out. But if I was ever fortunate enough to have a position to power EA Sports, I would definitely try to get people that might not be famous, but they know more about the game than the famous people. But I understand that that's not how the economy works. So Shane, how have you been doing? Have you been surviving the heat? I know we were talking earlier about your AC problems. You've been having some AC problems and all that, and some mechanics are trying to rip you off, Shane. What's going on with that? Talk to me. What's
What's
going
good?
on?
What's good, Trey? So, no, yeah, the heat. I hate the heat. I'm being honest with everyone. I know people love it. I know a lot of people love it, but no, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it hit like 90 degrees today where I'm at, and then it's supposed to be like, I think it might be a little cooler tomorrow. They changed it, but like, so the AC went out in my wife's car, and basically I stopped going to this one location because they kind of were like not doing the job correctly, and I had been going there for a long time, and I took it to the same company but a different location, and they basically told me, Trey, that they weren't doing a good enough job. They weren't putting 100% in, and some of the stuff they were wrong on, and they didn't do my wife's brakes right. So now I have to do get her brakes done at this new location, but it's under warranty, so it won't cost me anything. But I'm glad that these people are doing good on that. But yeah, I'm not going to spend 1,300 on AC for a car right now. But I know it's hot out, but one of our cars has good AC, so I'm not worried about, the other one right now. If we need to go somewhere or the wife needs to travel somewhere, she can take the one with AC. But I am excited, Trey, about College Football 26 and Madden 26. I'm not gonna lie to the people out there, I haven't studied a lot of it. I know that they have like some new movements. Maybe you can tell them, Trey. But how have you been doing, Trey?
Oh yeah, I've just been doing great. Been doing a lot of stuff with my brother. Got another podcast coming out. That's the Trey and Treve Show. I also plug Shane's channel on the Trey and Treep show, so shout out to that if you want to see. It's definitely a lot more comedic over there, but yeah, Shane, I've been kind of keeping tabs on what the goings ons have been going on about the college football 26 and Madden 26, and they posted a deep dive article. I'm pretty sure you can find it if you go to EA's website and you go to college football 26, and they did a deep dive on mechanics and a lot of stuff. Is probably not something that Shane or I really mess with. Well, I wouldn't say me because I definitely like the dynasty mode and that kind of thing. When it comes to gameplay, though, Shane, I think the most interesting piece of information that I have seen is that they're going to be talking about doing some custom zones. Now, I do not know how I feel about that. I think it's way too early to jump off a cliff and say that it's bad or what, because I've been pretty hesitant ever since EA brought back the freeform passing. I was very skeptical because they did attempt to do the target passing back in Madden 18, and it was probably the most bust of a feature you could ever think of. I mean, when I tell you that no one used target passing in Madden 18, literally nobody used it. I think there might have been an exploit that you could do with target passing in Madden 18 towards the end of the year, but I mean, other than that, it was useless. And then they brought it back. I think it was like Madden 22. I want to say is when they brought back the ability to do freeform. Now it's kind of, it is what it is. I mean, classic passing is still in the game, but now they're going to switch over to it being freeform. So, I'm gonna reserve my judgments until I hear more information about the custom zones. I think I might like that better than the switch stick feature. I was not a fan of that. I think Shane and I are on the same page when it comes to the switch stick. I just want zones to do what they do, and I think EA's motto is that when something is broken, they do not ever try to fix it properly. They will instead essentially use duct tape to fix it, but if they were to just address the zones the way they're supposed to be addressed, then we wouldn't need the use for switch stick or zone draws, because zones would just know what they have to do, and they would just play their assignments. You know what I mean? That's kind of my biggest gripe. But so yeah, Shane, knowing what I just told you now, what are your thoughts? And I also wanted to let the people know that Shane and I have last Friday we did a stream. It was Fall Guys. I got a W in Fall Guys, and it was a very, very excited, very chill stream. If you want to go back and watch it, Shane's got some clips from that. And Shane, how fun was it to get back into Fall Guys? Did you enjoy yourself with the Fall Guys last week? What?
Great. Hey, man, great report on everything, Trey. Like, I rely on you on that for sure. Yeah, definitely go check out you and your brother's podcast. It's pretty entertaining. The TNT podcast. Um, it is on YouTube, and I believe it's on like a bunch of like Spotify and all the like podcast spots you can listen to. So go check out Trey and Treeb's podcast. Um, but getting back to it, yeah, the zone drops are interesting, bro. But I want to know if they will become broken, or if they'll be broken at the start of the year. Like people will figure out like some glitches. You know what I mean? If it'll get overpowered. I'm wondering if my guy was right that they're gonna have like a cooldown timer on switch sticking, or if they brought anything else back. It doesn't sound like they did, but I know it's early, but it's kind of early because you got college football 26 in what, 5 weeks? So it's coming there, and it's coming soon. No pause. Yeah, Trey and I definitely we played Fall Guys last week. I believe it was last Friday. It was definitely chill. Trey definitely carried the team, you guys. Trey is that goon on Fall Guys. He's not gooning, he's a goon on Fall Guys. I know the new, term for gooning, but in my era goon was different. But no, it was definitely fun, Trey. I definitely had a blast. And it's like it literally makes my brain relax. Like when I'm doing Madden, it's basically like high stress for me. Even if I contain it pretty well, in my opinion, it's MCS, it's competition. It was money games in the past. It was, I want to be awesome at it. But Fall Guys, man, it was just like basically my mind was like relaxed, like I was at a beach. You know what I mean? Having a pop by the lake. So yeah, I had a lot of fun, Trey, and definitely you handled business. I think that you're really good at Fall Guys. I'm kind of bad, but I mean, hopefully it was fun with you playing with me, Trey.
Yeah, it was fun playing with me. I actually went back and I rewatched the stream, and the one thing that I was kind of taken back by, I forget which level it was, but I mean, I've seen you. You were like moving, and then you were like grabbing onto platforms and pulling yourself up, and I definitely think you're kind of pretty impressive in that regard. I definitely seen you, you're able to like grab on ledges and pull yourself up, which is definitely impressive. So I think that you got the basic gameplay stuff down. It's really a matter of finishing, but sometimes I think we get jaded. Well, obviously, in competitive. Shane's been in competitive. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be basketball, video games. Everything is definitely competitive, but it is nice, like what Shane was talking about earlier about how you can just kind of chill at the lake, play some Fall Guys, BS, talk about whatever and all that fun stuff. So Shane, what would you say is, you know, your favorite kind of game? Not talking video games, but were you ever a big like board game kind of guy? Do you mess around with the monopolies or the candy lands and that kind of stuff at all?
Um, okay, so I will answer that in a second, Trey, for sure. What's up, Rosie Rose? She's in the building. She said I think the number one reason they make things not coded is with abilities versus non-abilities is Mutt's a moneymaker. If they made ratings based animations, there's no reason to put cards behind a paywall and release these cards with 10 abilities in May. I actually agree with you, Rose. I think Trey and I had this conversation, I don't know, on the podcast or just, when we were off the podcast. But I remember like Madden 16, like on regs, it was so fun because like you had, I believe, three superstars with the circle underneath them, and the zones reacted the way they were supposed to react based off of the ratings, and it was awesome. So yes, I do agree that they might have gotten a little worse because they want people to buy more cards, and like in the end, money is money, right? Money is the root of everything, basically. um so yeah, oh, it needs to go back to three players. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, Rose. Like it's a lot, it's really a lot, and then it makes it more challenging like chess, because who do you put the three players abilities on if you get to set that up, or if they go a different route. You Rose said she had a banger stream on Whatnot this AM. Made some money sales, so a decent pick me up. That's what's up, Rose. I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest. Whatnot is? I don't know what that is, but I'm glad you made. I'm glad you made money, yo. Trey, growing up, what games did I play? I played Risk. I don't know how many people know what Risk is. It was basically like I'd have friends come over to spend the night. We'd go outside, like yada yada. You guys heard the story. We play sports and stuff, or we'd look for like I'd go out and we'd look for turtles and snakes and all that kind of cool stuff. Like I learned how to catch birds by our pond with my feet and my hands. I don't know if I told this story or not, but then also, you know, Risk, we'd play Risk, and it's basically where you take over countries and stuff. I was decent at that. I did play Candyland. I played Uno. I played, I think it's Trouble. We played Yahtzee. Our family played Yahtzee. A little bit of Monopoly. And then I can't. Just basically that stuff. Oh, Whatnot's a live stream version of eBay at auctions. Oh, I did not know that, Rose. Trey, what games did you play growing up? Did you play any board games?
Yeah, and shout out to Rose. Rose is always in the building. Shane and I definitely appreciate it. And yeah, like Uno is definitely a big one. That was kind of, the go to game growing up was definitely Uno. And that's kind of about it. Of course, there's a little board games, which, at the end of the day is kind of all the same. And I remember one, I think it's called like Caribou or something, not the Tech 9 song Caribou Lou, although Tech 9 released a new song the other day that is freaking fire. If anyone wants to check it out, it's like RDV and that song goes hard. But no, it was like that, but then at the end of the day, when you win, you like push a button and then the chest opens up. That's just one that kind of sticks out in my head. But nah, Shane, it's kind of interesting, and it's interesting because I feel like I've known you for such a long time, but I'm still figuring out different kind of stuff about you every now and then. Like, I never knew you were kind of into nature, like the whole turtles and birds and snakes that you were talking about. Is that something that you carry over when you say that you are big into nature and that sort of thing? And also, could you tell the people? I don't know if you told me about the podcast or you might have, but it's a classic story if you want to talk about the time talk about the time that you saw something and it turned out to be a warthog or something, and then come to find out there was one that escaped from the zoo, because that is in fact a legendary story.
Oh, okay, okay. So we're getting in, okay, we're gonna get in this. Okay, so yeah, I mean, basically, Trey, when I was young, like I would go outside and like obviously play sports, but there'd be some days, man, like my parents had some good acreage and I'd go look for turtles and snakes and like ants and all that stuff. I mean, like what a kid would do when they're little, but I mean, I really enjoyed it. But then, like you get to become a teenager and like I don't live near anyone, so like my parents would have to drive me like, like 20, 30 minutes to see people. Some of the friends that were, in the country either moved or I wasn't friends with them anymore, growing up. People change, no issues, just people, are just, they just grow apart. And, so yes, like, and it's weird, Trey, because like in the last like 8 months, like I've been in the city for a long time now, over half my life, and I kind of have been doing drives out into like the country by me. Just like it's nice, man. Trees and you see birds and you see like water running and creeks and rivers, and it's peaceful, man. Like it's really peaceful. And I don't know. I think that when I eventually can get a house, I think that I might want to live like not in the country, but there's like a part of Spokane where you're like in the country but like 5 minutes away from the city, so it's not that far away, but it's you get the country feel, you know what I mean? Um, no, so the story, like, I mean, so my brother and I are walking the dogs at the school, and my brother has like Rottweilers, right? And he has a few of the Rottweilers. I have my Labradoodle out, and I can't say what I was doing, but so I'm walking, and like they all are at the fence, right? They're all at the fence, and they're like puffed up, and even my dog is like woo 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 woo, right? And I'm like, oh snap, like what's going on? And my brother and I looking, and right, it's kind of winter time. It's kind of winter time out, so like you can see your breath and stuff. And I look through the fence, and I see this huge animal walking towards us, but like separated by like a chain link fence. And the dogs are freaking out, and like I see like, and it's making this weird like woof, woof sound, and like just pawing and at the dirt. And it was actually, Trey, it was with like two females, I believe, but this one was humongous, and I was like, hell no, I'm out of this, man, because it was like pond and stuff, and like whoof, whoof. And I later found out it was like, yeah, like you said, I think it was like warthogs that escaped from. I don't know if it was a zoo, Trey. I think it might have been a farm, but now I can't. It was either a farm or a zoo, but it doesn't matter, man. That scared the bejesus out of me. Like those things were huge, Trey, and I wasn't like, I'll say I wasn't sober that night, but Yeah, it was crazy, Trey. Like, how would you have reacted, bro?
Oh man, if I would have seen that, I wouldn't know what to react. I mean, you throw in like the paranoia of being not sober, we'll say that, and yeah, I didn't know what I'd say. It kind of reminds me of Harold and Kumar when they go into a jungle and they say a cheetah, and it's kind of interesting because something I picked up in the movie was that at the start of it there was news playing in the background. They're like, oh, a local jaguar escaped from a zoo, but then no one paid attention to it. And it is kind of funny because, like, what if, like, earlier that day you're listening to, like, a radio and they were saying, oh, a local warhog escapes and stuff. But, no, I was looking it up and it seems like they're not really that dangerous to humans. But, yeah, it was definitely pretty, pretty scary for sure. I don't know how I'd react to that, but. Alright, Shane, I'm going to switch topics on you. We're going more NFL players and NFL news and all that good stuff. So, your guy, Brock Purdy, recently got a contract extension. $230 million guaranteed. I'm going to give my opinion, then I'm going to throw it over to Shane, and Shane's going to have a little bit more insight because he is a Seahawks fan, so he's seen more of Brock Purdy up close than I have. But in my opinion, I think that the only two reasons this would make sense is that Kyle Shanahan sees something in Brock Purdy that no one else sees, or if it's like an ownership thing, like that's really the only thing. I mean, Brock Purdy is good, but I would think someone like Kyle Shanahan, he seems to me like he's the kind of coach that wants the quarterback to listen to what he's saying. Don't turn the ball over, don't make mistakes, and essentially just push the right buttons. I mean, he probably could have had Mac Jones play for him, and there was even rumors going back to the draft that he wanted to draft Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is in San Francisco right now. And I just found it interesting because Kyle Shanahan is a definitely very good offensive mind. And, I just saying that if he had someone that was a Geno Smith role or a Jacoby Brissett role, just an average quarterback that through his system he's able to do good. But Shane, what's your whole opinion as a Seattle Seahawks fan on Brock Purdy, bro?
I know you said warthogs aren't dangerous to humans, bro, but I was scared still. I'm not gonna lie. But it probably didn't help that, like I said, I wasn't exactly sober that night. Um, you know, I think Brock Purdy's just whatever. I don't think like he's horrible. I don't think he's great. I think he's like average. He can make the throws. Maybe he's a little bit above average. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Rose said, "Careful, Trey Chain's gonna go hungry hippo on you." I might, man. But no, I just think he's whatever, Trey. Like I mean, I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's great where he can lead you by yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And let's get into a little bit of the NFC West side of things. So, Brock Purdy got his contract extension. He's going to be the guy in Seattle. Now we switch over to the Cardinals side of things. You got Kyler Murray taking over, and I kind of like the Arizona coach. I can't really think of his name offhand. I'm not sure if it's John Gannon, but I've seen a few clips of him, and he seems like a pretty fiery guy, and I kind of like what he has going on in Arizona. And the Rams with Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, who I think is still a very good quarterback at this point. But when you look at Kyler Murray, for example, Shane, do you still feel the same way you have always kind of felt about him? Is that he's kind of a Walmart version of Russell Wilson? And why do you think it is that the Arizona Cardinals keep on, giving him chances? Because I feel like he's been in the league for a while, but he hasn't really done much. So Why do you think that is?
It's weird because I think he's kind of. I mean, I think he's just small. Like I do think he's the Walmart version of Russell Wilson, prime. Prime Russell. I think that he keeps giving or getting chances because he makes some talented plays, talented throws, and all that stuff, right? But I think at the same time, he's just kind of tiny. Like, so for me, like, I wouldn't say he's a bad player. I wouldn't say he's great. I would say he's somewhat like Purdy, in my opinion, just in different ways, if that makes sense, Trey.
Right, yeah, it definitely makes sense. And, he might not be a guy that is going to be the focal point of the offense, but, he can get the job done given the situation. So I feel you on that. So, as a New England Patriots fan, I definitely have to. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to. So, the Stephon Diggs situation, there was a video, and I didn't even know this until about probably like a week or so ago, but Stephon Diggs picked him up in free agency, is hopefully going to be something of a role model for the young wide receiver room that we have up in Foxborough right now, and sign him to a 3-year deal. He's coming off an ACL injury, and from what I've been told is that he is ahead of schedule when it does come to the ACL injury. Um, Come to find out, there was a viral video that got posted on TMZ, which anytime a video gets posted to TMZ, it's usually not that good. And he was with some fine looking ladies, I'll say that. You know, just a young guy having fun on a boat. There was a suspicious looking peak substance that he was kind of flashing in the video. And I think that it is going to be probably as big as it is right now. I don't really foresee this becoming a very big problem going forward. It's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of Stephon Diggs and his girlfriend Cardi B, which he's not exactly a average celebrity. I'm just gonna say that. So that's that's gonna be interesting to see. But my whole take on it is that I think if you're going to sign someone like that, as long as he's not going to be a problem in the locker room and he's not doing anything like egregious off the field, then I think that's just kind of par for the source when it comes to signing a big name receiver. That's just kind of some of the stuff that you have to put up with on that front. And hopefully this is not the first sign that Diggs is going to be digging his way out of Foxborough. I've been sitting on that all week long, Shane, so I hope you enjoyed my punchline there. Um, so when Russell Wilson was dating Sierra, I'm not even sure if they're still together or not, but as a Seahawks fan, when you have someone that is dating a celebrity, you experienced it with Russell Wilson. Was that ever something that caused problems or anything, or do you just kind of look at it as this is just kind of what it was?
I did like your pun, by the way, Trey. So thank you. I mean, I laughed at it. I mean, I think our audience would think that was funny too. At the same time, Trey, you know, here's where I'm at on it. Like the whole pink substance, yeah, he's probably gonna get in trouble, bro. I didn't even know they make pink cocaine, like some people said. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, he'd probably gonna get in trouble, just to be honest. With the whole Russell Wilson Sierra thing, they are together, they're married, yada yada. Like some of the Seahawk fans were like, "Oh, he started sucking since he, got with Sierra," but like he had some good numbers still with Sierra. I'm not gonna blame Sierra over the Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson got older. I think his escapability, went away with his speed and it's just his age. Like people want to blame people just because, right? Or people want drama just because they want drama. So I wasn't. I mean, I could have cared less. I don't care who you're dating or who you're not dating. The only time I would be like, oh yeah, that definitely changed is if, like, somebody who's not a cokehead becomes a cokehead when they get with a person. Is it still their own decision, Trey? Yeah, but they still change, right? Or like if I hated country music, never listened to country music, was way against country music, and then my wife made me become a country fan, and I hated rap music. All of a sudden, I change, right? Now your taste can change, but you kind of get the gist of the whole thing. But no, I'm not gonna blame Sierra for Russell Wilson getting older.
Yeah, exactly. It just kind of is what it is, and I mean, people go through life, they change, and different ways than one. Obviously, when you get settled down with the person, responsibilities come up and all that fun stuff, and you change. Hopefully for the better, hopefully for the worst. I think, the person who you are and what you hold as morals and what you hold in high esteem as far as your value and things that you value is who you are in essence. But obviously, as we grow old in life, the person you were at 21 and the person you are at 30 is going to be different. And then from 30, it just keeps going up, and then you just keep maturing in essence. So Shane, what is your whole take on, or I guess what I want to get into right now is, what is your expectations going into Madden 26? We are officially a month out. Do you look at this year, and I'm not talking about the game itself, but I guess I'm more so talking about competitively the UMC crew members that are also, shout out to UMC. They're always representing. That's the group that Shane is the founder of, and done a good job over there. And look forward to supporting them when it comes to Madden 26. But kind of what are the expectations? Competitively, I know that if I'm correct, that this year is obviously, if you do win a belt, that's going to be awesome. That is going to be obviously the higher goal. But I think this year, if I remember correctly, is just you're going to try to build the YouTube channel more and try to grow it. Would you say that that is going to be your main priority going into Madden 26?
Obviously, like you take away the obvious answer, which you did already. So yes, the obvious answer is to win a belt. The second one would to be hopefully UMC wins the belt. The number three one would be to help UMC win a belt. I root for those guys just as much as like I'd root for myself, right? So I mean, like I'm pretty loyal to a T. And yes, for me, I want to get bigger and bigger on YouTube. So the goal is to have a set stream schedule in the evening, which I will be coming out with hopefully in a month. And just constantly and consistently streaming Madden 26, and hopefully building the YouTube so then we build on the podcast, right? We have more people. And I want to do more tournaments this year, more bigger tournaments outside of MCS like I did not last year but a couple years prior, where I was in like the pro league. I want to do that again. But yes, outside of the obvious, Trey, yes, the goal is to build up the YouTube channel so then at the same time the podcast gets bigger as well, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's going to be the main goal going forward. Been kind of on a hiatus, we're coming out with these podcasts, going to be doing some Fall Guys, and I'm excited to get back into them as the summer proceeds, and we're going to be doing reports as Madden comes by, giving our opinions on the different news and stuff that are going to be changing in the game as we go forward. And if you guys want to stay up to date on patch notes, which is very important going forward, definitely subscribe to Shane Guy 11. He's got you covered all summer long all Madden season long, I should say, when it comes to the patch side of things. But you know, Shane, I've been playing a lot of Mutt head to head recently, and I do think you were first to the party when it comes to having the big guys at running backs because, you know, a lot of people are rocking, you know, the linemen at running back, and I cannot stop them worth the S. They be running over me. They're dancing in the end zone. They are almost impossible to stop, but you were actually first to the party in that way. I think when you started rocking, I can't remember the name who you had back there. I think it was the Fridge, if I remember correctly.
You're
It was
correct.
the Fridge Perry, but you were definitely early to the party when a lot of the guys were using more elusive backs. So do you think going into next year, do you plan to keep the same motto at the running back position if you have the choice to have a tank back there versus a more elusive guy? You're going to go with the tank, or does it all just kind of depend on how the year's going?
It's going to be a lot of trial and error, Ray. It really is. I'm going to see what fits and what works. And like I said, I'm going to be a whale this year, spending money. And I'm going to figure it out. And hopefully we'll go from there because you know what I am all about, Trey. I'm about pound fest. Yeah, I do that. I'm a pounder. I pound. So I'm going to, I'm going to get the guys that work for me and can take me to the promised land, pounding, the rock.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to be pounding the rock. That's one thing Shane has always been. He's always going to be a run first kind of guy, but he can definitely die you up when it comes down to it. Um, so yeah, so when you go into a new Madden, right? Say it's a new Madden, you know, we're kind of getting close to beta season. This is all hypothetical for when I'm gonna, you know, situate my question off of, but you know, what's kind of, you know, the beginning stages? Are you the kind of person that likes to go to practice mode right away and try out new plays, or do you like to get a lot of reps in with like your crew members and your guys, or does it all just kind of depend on, you know, people that are available and, you know, kind of what your schedule's looking like? Obviously, those are all contributing factors, but generally speaking, how do you approach a new Madden when it comes out?
You know what's crazy is it's kind of like all together, except if people aren't around to play, like if the crew's busy or whatever, you're busy. I just load up, bro, and play, and I kind of learn on the fly, right? So I learn what plays work. Like I was the guy that was about motion swings one year, and then last year I figured out some certain plays. Like so, you got to evolve. You gotta kind of change with the years as they go. You can be a runner, but certain runs might not work. You know, year by year. Counter run might work better one year while power run works the other, or a draw works better against a meta blitz and halfback base. But it just, bro, it is just learning and trying to figure it out, and then hopefully the crew can help out, or if I need some reps with you, we can run them. But it for me, it's just about getting reps in competitively, if that makes sense. Like and figuring out how to beat the meta. The main goal is how to beat the meta. If you can beat the meta, you are going to be better than 90% of the Madden players every year. And that's just, honestly, Trey, that is like if I had to give advice to anyone is how to attack the meta and how to learn to beat the meta, and you'll beat 90% of the players because most of them don't adjust. The ones that do adjust, then you have to learn, obviously playing more and how to attack this person. But I'd say, what would you say, Trey? 90%. If you learned how to beat the meta, you'd beat 90% of the people out there, or would you say it's more?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's something that I've definitely pondered over because I think after a certain point you kind of get jaded from playing the meta and For those of you that don't know that when we're talking about the meta means essentially what people are running, right? So, you go into a game, and if you've been playing a significant amount of games online head to head, you'll see a trend in what people are running, and a lot of times those trends come from YouTube with people putting out tips on YouTube. It also comes from people who post ebooks and stuff like that online. So, just in case anyone's confused that's listening to this that don't exactly know what the word meta means, but I feel like after a while you get kind of adjusted to it, and you're like, okay, I know how to stop this, but every now and then you face somebody that runs something completely off meta and you struggle way more. But I don't know about you, Shane, but I almost think that when people try to run the meta, they're like the most easy people to beat in my opinion. And I think that, generally speaking, I think off-meta people give me more problems because I have more reps against meta people. And if you're not, running the meta and you're not able to adjust, then I have a very good chance of beating you. But if someone just comes in, coming out of the woodworks, running their own custom stuff that no one's seen before, then it's a lot more harder. So what would you say you struggle with more?
Honestly, what I really struggle with the most is how to pick up the blitzes, which I really, really improved this year, and the crew did help me immensely on that. But the just how to block the like stupid blitzes, like the A gapper, or like whatever, the double mug, or you know what I mean, the 4-3-6-1. But I kind of learned enough where I was like cool with it. But like defensively, once I learned how to stop like the meta plays, I actually, like you said, I'm better versus a meta offense than some dude that's running off brand meta, or off brand, no meta at all, and doing his own thing. It'll take time for me to adjust, unless, obviously, like, and we're being Captain Obvious here, but unless he sucks completely. But yeah, they it's a little bit more trouble than the meta people for me, unless like I'm playing like a Dez, right, or a Kiv, or like the top 1% of the one percenters. But even then, like, lots of times I know how to slow them down enough where I can make it a close enough game. I mean, but I would say that, like, if I could get my offense solid against a meta, I'd probably make a live event, Trey. I'm that comfortable on defense versus a meta, so I would agree with you overall.
Yeah, I think for me, picking up the blitz is definitely a struggle. You got these A gaps and B gaps, and I always remember when we had D Jones on the podcast, and he was saying about how when he went over to EA and they invited him over to a competitive summit, basically something to tell the devs, hey, this is kind of what my opinion is on how it should be. And he was saying how he didn't believe that A gaps and B gaps should be in the game, and he actually, and the developers agreed with him, but a lot of the other competitive people didn't agree with him at the time. And you fast forward 5 years, and you're seeing dudes flying through the A gaps and B gaps all the time, and nano detection doesn't even seem to be like a feasible thing anymore. So I don't know if they turned it off, or if that kind of gets into the more conspiracy realm, is if nano detection is there, or if it's like, who knows at the end of the day when it comes to that sort of thing. But yeah, I would agree with you, but it's also just unacceptable for any football game. I don't care if it's regs. I mean, yes, you have to adjust if someone is setting a blitz, their nickel blitz, and you can't figure out a way to ID the mic and shift the line left, then that's your fault. But when you got dudes flying through the A gaps and B gaps, you have no shot. Like, you try to tell any offensive coordinator in football at any level, if you're having dudes fly through the A gaps and the B gaps, if that's acceptable, they're gonna say no, that that is not acceptable, and that the the whole offense, including the offensive coordinator, is going to be fired in that scenario. But for some reason in Madden, it's accepted. So, but yeah, Shane, it was kind of interesting though because I was even thinking back, but I mean, when D Jones said that, it just kind of reaffirmed what we already knew about how EA will listen to the pros versus the casual people, and like at what point do you think how many people are going to have to kind of break through the competitive scene in order for it to be a complete revelation, so to speak? Like, would it take like a whole, 4 to 5 people to kind of break through in order to, change the game and make it more fair? Or like, what would need to happen for EA to, because they'll probably still listen to pros, but hopefully over time the pros that they listen to are more people like us, right? Is that kind of our only hope at this point?
You know, I mean, I really think, bro, it's only gonna matter like if you or I win a belt, or like a guy that likes to run the ball, like AJ and the crew wins the belt. I think then they'll listen more a little bit and they'll take, your advice. Like, I believe, like, I'll just use me for example. I win a championship this year, right? And then I make another deep run. I think that they listen to me way more. I think they'd be like, "What do you think needs to be fixed?" And I think that they listen to me if I'm like, "Yeah, pinch protection needs to be back. A gapping should not work like this. A like you're in I formation, and some people came out in dollar, and a pro like Kiv knows how to shoot the gap. That's dumb as hell. While the offensive lineman, stands there and does nothing. I think you'd have to take Trey, honestly, like multiple great players that go deep to be like, yo, dollar should not stop power runs. You should not be able to dumb out the offensive line so you can, blitz three and then the blitzing linebacker gets in. Even if you set up, because like, look, I'm gonna be honest, I've watched some pro streams, Trey, and the loop blitz will still get in sometimes, even when they set the setup right. So even though they're blocking the right guy that you're supposed to, I've been watching and they're top pros. The guy will loop and sometimes bounce off the guard and come in and get a sack. And it'll be random. That should not happen, you know what I mean? So to answer your question, I think that you would need way more people to handle it. Like way more people, I mean, to get like deep runs. People like you and I and like AJ, like runners. Most pros, Trey, are passers and want to sit in dollar all day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's gonna take a whole revelation like that D12 song. Had to throw an Eminem reference in there. Had to get at least one in per podcast. So you brought up something. You've been chilling, watching Madden streams, and I know you're not able to watch a whole lot of streams because you're a busy guy. But sometimes when you are board, or if it's like one of your UMC members, obviously you're always going to be representing, supporting them and everything. But has there been has there been any like streamers that you've been watching lately that are kind of new on the scene that you've kind of picked up and said, oh yeah, this guy, I kind of like what this guy is doing, Madden wise, he's actually pretty good, or is it just kind of we're in the summer, so it's like there's nothing really that people can do that's like eye opening, so to speak. But have you kind of peeped out any new blood, so to speak, when it comes to the Madden side of things?
Honestly, Trey, not really, because most of the people that I have outside of UMC are other pros, and I only follow them because in tournaments, and I watch it when MCS is going on, and so then I watch what they're doing or I scout them. But no, they all kind of run the same. Like a cool guy is named Parlay. I think it's Parlay FMH on YouTube. He comes in here off and on. He's been in our podcast watching off and on. He's more like the normal regs dude. He's not like a top pro, but like it's fun watching him because he's entertaining and like they do some money games here and there. But honestly, bro, not really. I mean, like when you get down to it, like there's definitely levels in competition, but at the same time, like I do understand why some non MCS people can't stand MCS people because like why do you want to watch, Gun Bunch all day and then Dollar Loot Blitz all day over and over and over? It's not really fun. Like so I understand from their standpoint. Like Trey, do you kind of agree with like the non MCS people that kind of get bored of watching MCS and they say it's the same 34 plays all day, or are you like whatever, like get better?
It's a combination of both. I definitely think that and we've had this conversation, but a lot of people that you know watch MCS, a lot of people that follow Madden that are they're kind of casual. They might mess with Madden, they might play a few games here and there, but they're not really in the weeds like that. They're not playing it however many times. Whereas people like us, we're in the weeds for real. Like we know every little nook and cranny, so to speak, and this is kind of the game that we follow, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but I feel like if I were to go to Call of Duty, I don't know anything about Call of Duty, but if I were to go into Call of Duty and I were to make a comment on the video like Call of Duty is the same game every year, every time they post a video, it would be something casual like that, and it just kind of rubs me the wrong way because I don't play Call of Duty like that. I don't know anything about Call of Duty, so for me to make a comment like that when I don't know anything is kind of crazy. And I think that's kind of what MCS people look at it and listen. When you're good at something, your ego is gonna go up, so you're gonna have an inflated ego. And if I was good at Madden, you couldn't tell me anything. I would probably feel the same way. Like I would admit what I'm doing is kind of whatever, but I would probably have an inflated sense of ego like these guys have, and you get 20 people telling you how good you are at Madden. So I understand it from that side of things, but if you take a look back, it is boring when you see. I don't even say boring. I just when you see the same blitz going on over and over again, it's just unrealistic. But when I watch these MCS games, I'm looking at it more from entertainment value. Who's playing that I can really watch and say that I'm entertained by watching him. Whether that be their brashness, their personality, etc. And I think that's why Dubby kind of is what he is. He's very brash. He has a personality to him that a lot of people can watch, and even though you don't agree with him, you can definitely see he has a certain charisma and confidence towards him, which a lot of these other top players, they have a personality of The Rock. I'm not talking Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I'm talking like Patrick's house. But yeah, no, it is definitely boring though. I definitely see what you mean by that, but at the end of the day, I just think you have to get better, right? But I mean, a lot of those people that are commenting on MCS videos, they're not playing competitive anyway, so it's just kind of whatever at the end of the day, right?
Oh no, for sure. Like you're totally right on that, Trey. Like my only issue is there will be pros who will be like, adjust, learn to get better. But then if somebody's beating them, it's bubblegum or, hey, EA, you need to fix this. But just get better, right? Adjust. Like, I've basically gotten to the point where, like, yeah, at times I'm effing annoyed, bro. Like, I am so annoyed that I can't stand it. But you just gotta like keep your emotions in check. Like I watch my oldest play 2K at times, and sometimes I join him. I'm not very good, but he's pretty good online. But these people that he plays, they do the same moves. So I know what you're talking about, like with Call of Duty, and I just think most people copy and try to perfect it, and maybe I'm wrong, Trey. Maybe meta is the way to go. Um, Unless you can totally exploit the meta. Maybe it is the right way, and maybe that's why everybody does it. Maybe it's because it's not about their brain, it's more about like, hey, the coding in the game. Like, I don't know, like when is the last time been where somebody won a chip off meta? Do you know, Trey? I can't honestly think of it off the top of my head.
That's a good question. Somebody that I mean, there's people that have made deep runs. I would say D Jones was definitely off meta, and I would say Noah. I think the biggest like off meta guy that I can think of is Noah. And I've been very high on Noah. I think Noah kind of blurs the lines between a guy that he can go on a players lounge game straight up, let's pick teams, let's play with the Chiefs and the 49ers and let's ball out that way. He can cross that line, but he can also flip it on you, and now he's playing Ultimate Team. He's running the meta. He's doing all this. So I think Noah is probably, when I think of like guys that are off meta and meta, I think Noah is the kind of guy that I look at and say that he can kind of play you both ways. He can definitely beat you down with the meta, but if it comes down to it and he has to kind of think outside the box, I definitely think that Noah is the kind of guy that can do it. So would you agree, Shane, about the Noah tape? Because I know you actually got a chance to play him back in the day. So who are some of your off meta guys that you think of off the top of my head, if there even is any?
Um, you know, are we talking about all time for me, or are we talking about just recently?
Yeah, we can go all time. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I got Hollywood, D Jones, and Joel CP that did more off meta stuff to me for the longest time compared to the meta. The meta players for me are like, I mean, Skimbo on offense kind of set his own stuff up, so maybe he's like 50-50. But like Kiv, Dez, all them run, basically the meta, and then it does blur the line, like which is a top player that created the meta this year, because it's not really a YouTuber, because usually YouTubers, I like, and I'm a YouTuber myself, but a lot of them take from people, right? So like if I post this blitz will get in fast, and it really does, there will be hundreds of other videos that basically copied me but flipped it around a little bit so it doesn't look like they did, or people don't care. Some people buy ebooks and then will post like some of the plays like they did it themselves because they don't really care. I realized that with a guy that is really big in the Madden community. He basically took my patch note ideas, never denied it. So, I mean, and I called him out on Twitter, and he's much more famous, and it's about money. And then other people were like, yo, it's all about money, Shane. And I mean, he never did, but like other people told me that. So I understand. But like, if I had to say like who was the biggest off meta pros that I've played, I would say like D Jones, Joel CP for a while, and Hollywood Trey.
Yeah, Joel CP is definitely another one. He's definitely the kind of guy that knows off meta, and I will always say that when it does come to off meta, I know that we said this, and yeah, maybe. I mean, if we were going by straight up statistical data, then you would probably be wrong if you were to say that in order to make it really far into Madden, that you can make it without running meta. I think that would be a statistically false statement, but I would say for me, you can get by. You can be good in Madden if you don't run meta. I think you could still run your own stuff and be good. But I think the key for me is that you want to understand why plays work the way that they do. I think that is the major key. So the reason, I'll give you an example. In Madden 21, there was a play that worked really well. It was the bunch tight end with the delay fade. Okay, so why is the delay fade so effective? Well, you can't really man it up because you can hit A, he can release, and then your guys will probably, the guy that you're manned up on it will probably leave his assignment to go chase after the quarterback. Okay, so in that scenario, I need to set myself up to where I can guard the tight end, but then on the back end, I need to make sure that I have all these other routes covered. So then that is the baseline that you have is the information aspect, and from that you have to just fit the puzzles together in order to stop the meta. And then once you do that, you are cooking with gas because now you understand why people are running it, why it works, and you just have to figure out the puzzle to fix it. Everyone has a puzzle. Tom Brady, there were defensive coordinators that looked at Tom Brady and were able to figure out ways to beat him. I'm sure the first mobile quarterback, Lamar Jackson, back in the days, Fran Tarkington, that's a throwback. I think Shane would be impressed that I threw out Fran Tarkington, Randall Cunningham. You know, these were all guys that gave defensive coordinators fits. You know, they were probably saying it's not fair, but they get in the lab, they try to figure out the way to stop them, and they put a game plan together, and then they stop them, all that. And at the end of the day, the defense gets paid too, right? So, and I'm going on an NFL rant, but this, kind of all ties together, really. But CJ Stroud, a lot of people are saying that CJ Stroud had a disappointing sophomore campaign, but he had a pretty good sophomore campaign. It might not have been as good as a rookie, but what people don't realize is that the defenses get paid too. So, like, if Jaden Daniels has a CJ Stroud, people will say, oh, he's not that good, but, the defenses get paid too, and now that there's tape out there for people to watch, the defenses are going to adjust to you. So, yeah, that was a long-winded answer to that thing, and kind of kind of lost track on what it is, what I'm talking about. But Shane, when you look at how hard is it to adjust to something, and do you think when you kind of slow everything down and really try to process it and get reps in, then after a while you do start to figure out what people are doing and how to stop it?
Trey, honestly, bro, it takes a certain amount of time for sure, right? It's like getting on a bike, learning how to ride a bike. It takes time. So, yeah, of course, if somebody comes out and they're running some like glitchy offense, it does definitely take time to figure out like how to stop it. What route is, this receiver doing? What route's the other receiver doing? What route is this receiver doing? And at the same time, what's the tight end going to do or the running back, right? Once you realize how to stop like one side of the field with the computer and you can take away the middle to like kind of the other side, you're golden, right? And I would assume I feel like I adjust pretty well, Trey, but it does definitely take time. And that's why usually, in my opinion, the first tournament of the year is a crapshoot about who's gonna win and who's not gonna win. It's about who runs stuff that you're not used to seeing and that can exploit the zones because for ever since I can remember, once Mutt became the main thing, the zones haven't been great, right, Trey? So the first tournament is always a wild card. It's always what is going to happen. what is going to be the popular thing, and then once honestly that then you'll know what the meta is going to be, and then for the next month at least what the meta is going to be, right, Trey? And then maybe by the next tournament, if another guy figures something out, then there might be a couple metas that people run. But usually you start to figure it out because, like I said, people don't really change up. They don't really adjust. They just kind of do the ebooks, the YouTube stuff, and it works 90% of the time. And then you can get by winning most of your games because some people, the people that can afford to buy the ebooks or afford to do this or do that or don't have the time, they just get blown away and then they quit, right? It's kind of like it is definitely frustrating as hell for me when, I couldn't figure out how to pick up the blitz and they're sending threes, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna power run on them and power formation, and then then the guy shoots the gap and my offensive line guard play dumbs out, and you know, and if they, like I said, if EA really wants to fix a trade, they would bring pinch protection back.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely get blown out of the water. And I think another thing that kind of plays a role into that is, when you're in these games and you're playing, it's all a blur, really. I mean, it is very hard to, say you come into a game saying this is how I want to play. These are the plays that I've run specifically. I know every nook and cranny on how to run these plays, and someone will adjust to it. I mean, at some point, you have to try to abandon it and try to figure out ways on to adjust, but it is very difficult. I mean, you don't get a halftime to where you can, look at plays and say, okay, this is what we're going to do coming out of the half. It's really all a blur at the end of the day. It's very hard to. I mean, obviously, you can make adjustments within the same kind of system. So, for example, if your opponent is running a corner route. Okay, that's an easy adjustment. I don't have to completely change gears in order to stop a corner route. Maybe I just have to turn on my zone draws in order to accommodate for that corner route. But if someone just comes out and it's pretty clear within the first 10 minutes that this guy, maybe he's not a good matchup for you, or simply put, he's just better than you, he's probably going to get the better of you that game. And really all you can do at that point is try to play on. Maybe if you're getting your head beat in like 21, 28, 0, yeah, maybe you should just kind of quit out. But, I think even in your losses, I think it's important to try to stay in and try to say, okay, so for next time when I face this, I'll just do this and I'll have more success on that. But, we've all been tired. We've all had games where we disconnect, we don't want to hear it, and then 5 minutes later we come back and we're cool again. So, but Shane, do you think that it is important that when you do have games like that, because we've all had games like that when we're trying to get better at Madden, we've all gotten taken to the woodshed, but what are some lessons that you can take when you do face those games, and how to move on to the next one when you face something like that inevitably?
Dude, honestly, Trey, like here's where I'm at with the whole scenario of like learning. Okay, so a couple years ago, hey, when did Dez win the championship, Trey? Do you remember when he was like the GOAT?
Uh, I want to say it was 22 or 23.
Okay, so whichever one it was, I matched up with him in head to head, bro. And he beat the living daylight out of me, which is impressive because, dude, I usually don't get blown out. Usually, like, I remember Mo and Skimbo saying this, and dude, I'm gonna give Skimbo props because that dude would blow me out more than I. He was just a bad matchup. I think one tournament game he beat me 17-14 was like my closest game against Skimbo, and I fumbled when I was driving down for the win. But and that was in Gamer Saloon Championship, right? Well, he and Mo said in Gamer Saloon, and a couple other people have said it since then, that like I might not be the most talented offensive player, obviously, out there, but my game style helps me keep, the games close, and then I rely on people making mistakes, which That's how I did it versus Hollywood multiple times. That's how I, beat Mo way more than he ever beat me. I think it was 4-1 me or 5-1 me by the end of his Madden career. But so Dez whoops me, right? I'm like, whatever. I play it out. He beats me. I think it was like 28-3 or something. Like, just, you know, out to the woodshed. So I'm like, okay, inside zones, he is like gapping me, and he was so prolific on offense, bro. It gave me PTSD flashbacks of like Kiv and Skimbo, right? Well, next game, I load up instantly. Guess who I'm playing against? Dez. So I'm like, all right, bro. I totally kind of abandoned my normal run plays. I just like those aren't working out. I have to figure out something else to make me better, or I'm just going to get taken to the woodshed again. Bro, I realized halfback draw exploited his defense. Just halfback draws over and over and over. Did he beat me? Yeah, he beat me because, like I said, his offense that year was like, Kiv or Skimbo against me career wise. Like I couldn't stop him on defense when I was on defense, but on offense, I put up a bunch of points, and I believe I ran for 200 or 250 plus yards on halfback draws trades. So you I feel like, and this happened in money games as well. Sometimes I'd lose the first game and then win like three in a row against a person because I was very good at figuring out what they were doing. And then if they did stop me on offense, I would try to use different plays. I just wasn't set in my way. So sometimes playing a pro for one time, I will be better because they can't, figure me out. And if they play me again, I might be screwed. But then there's times that I beat people because I learned how they play and I start taking their money, or, um, I start learning stuff, and it helps me, bro. Like I said, versus Dez, like I had to adjust or I was going to get steamrolled again, right, Trey? Like that's where I am. What's going on, Bulldog? Welcome to the podcast. Also, this channel is also a Madden channel. I got some of my music on here as well. Welcome to the channel, Bulldog. But Trey, I mean, what do you do? Do you like adjust, or like do you just like, okay, I'm gonna just keep doing my game and hopefully it works this time?
Yeah, shout out to Bulldog for joining us. This is a podcast, like Shane said, where we discuss a wide variety of topics, so we appreciate you stopping by. And, hopefully you're able to hit the subscribe button, see our other videos that we got, and all that related to Madden and so forth. Always good to see some new booty in here. Two things that are undefeated is booty and new booty, you know what I'm saying? But no, other than that, like, it's what you said, Shane. Like, you're playing Dez and you realize this one draw play that kills your defense, and that one draw makes all the difference. Yeah, in the end, I mean, listen, sometimes, you do run into a guy that all they can do is that one play, and if you stop him there, you win, but I would say for a lot of the times that they have a little bit more that they're able to do, and just because you stop that one play, then that just means they have something else in their back pocket that they can hit you with. So realistically, it's going to take you, a few more chances to kind of put the pieces all together. It's usually not going to be that cut and dry to where you can make this one adjustment and then that's good enough to get you a win for some people, but definitely not a Madden championship like Dez. He's obviously got some more tricks up his sleeve in that regard, but I would say I'm pretty stubborn. I think I'm a little bit better now than I was going in the past. Like, I'm coming out in my base defense, which is nickel. That's my base defense, and even if you were toting on me, I would be stubborn. I wouldn't want to get down and dirty, but recently I'll usually allow one run. If someone can bust a run against me, then I'll come back and I'll get into like a 4-6 or a 4-3 package with more linebackers and more beef on the field, and oftentimes I still can't stop the run. You know, people talk about weak box this, weak box that, and I mean I have yet to experience been allowed to run dollar and stop the run. I don't even know what that feels like. It must be nice, I must say, but yeah, it's kind of like what you said. You know, you have to be willing to adjust. I would say that you don't want to shift your identity completely. You know, a good example of this, I think, is the 2017 AFC Championship game between the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That Jaguars team defensively was very physical, very good. They were kind of like Legion of Boom, but on the lighter side. And, you know, they faced New England, and there's been a lot of teams that would play New England that lost before they even stepped onto the field because of the whole mystique and the whole fear. And Jacksonville will probably beat us. Well, the defensive coordinator for the Jaguars, you know, seeing something on tape that Tom Brady exploited in man coverage, and that scared the defensive coordinator so much that they went away from what got them to that point, which was playing physical man coverage, and Tom Brady scared them out of it, and now they're doing something that they never do, and they end up losing the game. So I think it's a balancing act. You don't want to abandon the stuff that kind of got you to the dance, so to speak, because that's who you are, but at the same time, you don't want to abandon everything completely. So would you say it is a tough balance trying to not abandon who you are, but at the same time adjusting when need to?
Oh, definitely. I fully agree with you there, Trey. You know, if I come out and I'm like, okay, I know most people that most pros that know me know what I'm going to do, right? They know it's going to be 50-50, but if I can get my run off on you, I'm going to run all day. Like, I don't really care. But at the same time, I'm not going to come out and be like five wide just because, I know they know that I'm going to run. The only times, like, for me, like I said, I'll switch up is like, Dez was completely shutting down my normal run plays. They weren't going anywhere. It wasn't making his defense soft because they would press, and I remember the games perfectly. And then so yes, I did have to adjust there, but yes, like you said, a healthy balance, Trey.
Healthy balance indeed, not just in Madden, but you know, in life, try to get that healthy balance. Try to balance, you know, what you do, what you pursue, and try to find that happy balance in multiple areas. You know, you talk about the work-life balance. I know that that's a buzzword that corporations like to use, which it's really not a thing, but you kind of get the idea. So, on that note, we've been going on for about an hour. A lot of technical Madden talk. We talked a little bit of Brock Purdy, did some summer talk. Hopefully, you guys have had some more summer. And, you know, for the next podcast, we'll get more into some summer blues stuff, talk about what we like about summer, our favorite summer activities, and all that good stuff. I know Shane is definitely not fond of the summer. It's his probably least favorite time of the year, but you know, I'm sure we could probably figure out a way to kind of squeeze some fun summer activities out of him. I know he was in Hoop Fest, which, you know, Hoop Fest is kind of summer-ish, but not really. So we'll definitely talk about this, and we're getting very close to Madden season coming into full swing. College football got first. There is pre-orders. The pre-order bundle is out now. You can purchase it. It's going to cost you a hefty fee. I believe on the PlayStation Store right now it is $134. I don't got it like that currently, so I'm probably going to wait for that. But I will definitely play the games because that is just what I do. I've been a Madden head. I've been a football video game head for the longest time. EA has me in a predicament where I don't have any other options. So I'm just going to critique, I'm going to play, and I'm going to adjust. That's really all you can do at the end of the day. So with all that being said, thank you everyone that's been supporting. Shout out to Rose that was in here, Bulldog. You're a new booty. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed our little podcast so far and that you come back, and for everyone else that likes to listen to us on the replay, we appreciate it, and we're looking forward to continuing bringing you guys these podcasts every other week. So I'm gonna throw it back over to Shane to close us out for another edition of the West Coast Podcast. We will see you guys not this Friday, but the following Friday for another edition.
Trey, we can't be done yet, my man. We got Would You Rather segment.
Oh man, how could I have forgotten
Bro.
Would You Rather, bro? What's wrong with me?
Okay, I got two of them for you, and then we'll be done, bro. I'll even answer it. Like, unless you've got one. Do you have one for me, or do you want me to do these?
Oh man, Shane, you know me. You know I was just messing with you. You knew this whole time I had a fiery would you rather question. I was just checking to make sure you know.
That, bro.
Nah. So would you rather question for this week's edition. Again, this is a new segment that we've been doing over the last few years. You know, going to be getting into summer, so there's going to be a lot of very interesting, sometimes sports based, sometimes not. We kind of like go off the cuff with this one. So, Shane, the would you rather question that everyone wants to know on this edition of the West Coast Podcast is, would you rather know when or how? Would you rather know? I'm definitely not Googling this, by the way. I'm just stuttering. I have a deep stutter problem.
You're
Would
good,
you
bro.
rather always feel understood or always feel appreciated? That's a deep one right there.
Bro, I think I would always want to be appreciated. I think that it would be, it'd make you feel good. So obviously, I would go with I'd always want to feel appreciated. What about you, Trey?
Yeah, I would definitely say for this one, I'd want to feel appreciated, like you said, and I think a better question for this one is, would you always feel misunderstood and always feel appreciated? Because yeah, you'll get appreciated, but hear me out on this. What if you're appreciated but for the wrong reasons? You know what I mean? So you're appreciated, but the messages that you are putting forward, no one is really looking deep forward and really understanding what it is that you are trying to convey, but they kind of look past it and only appreciate you for something that, you know, you're not really that much into. Kind of like when Eminem, you know, he has all these deeper songs, but people only know him for his fast raps, which is less than 1% of his catalog. So that would be my answer on that. Shane, do you have a fire would you rather question for me?
Okay, would you rather get $1 every time you compliment a stranger to their face, or would you rather get $100 every time you disrespect them to their face?
Get $1. I'm gonna be honest, Shane. I'm not a fan of most people, so I think for me it would be easy. It would be easier for me to disrespect someone and, you know, tell people that, you know, yeah, you're this, you're that, and get the $100. But at the same time, you know, on second hand, I would probably take the $1 because yeah, that would be easy. I mean, I can walk up to someone and say, "Hey man, I really like the watch you're wearing. That's nice." Or I can be like, "Hey man, I like the shirt you're wearing. It's really cool. Those shoes are nice." So yeah, on second thought, I would just take the dollar. I'll be happy-go-lucky. I won't be cynical like how I kind of feel sometimes when I'm in public and people always get in my way. But that's another story. So I'm gonna go with I guess the more polite answer on that.
You know, Trey, I agree with you, actually. I would go with the dollar, man. Think about how many times you could compliment people and how good you'd make them feel, right? Like, sure, the $100, you go up somebody and say, "Man, you smell terrible. or you just are funny looking. Like that's kind of rude, right? Because like you don't know them, you don't know who they are. Honestly, I would go with the whole dollar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Plus, say everyone's nice to each other, everyone's giving us compliments. It's definitely gonna help to more society overall. And I think having more upbeat, like you never see fights in Disneyland. You know what I'm saying? Like the happiest place on earth. Like you don't see people fighting. Everyone is just peaceful. And if we can just get more than that, then we'll be good to go. So, but on that note, I'm not gonna redo. I did very eloquently, very direct, straight to the point ending that I just did. So I'm not gonna rehash it. I'm just going to say that we appreciate you guys for tuning in to the West Coast Podcast and sticking with me. Be sure to input your would you rather questions. We'll have better ones coming forward, deep ones too. There's a good one that I asked them, and for anyone else that's checking this, my would you rather question is, would you rather? We've already had this conversation, but this is just for the newbies out there. Would you rather have uh, your most vivid dream? Would it rather be your best dream or your worst nightmare? It might seem like an easy answer on the surface, but if you think about it, say you pick the best dream and you wake up to your reality, it's going to suck worse than a nightmare. Whereas if you have the worst nightmare, then all of a sudden your real life isn't really that bad and you feel relieved. So, but yeah, with all that being said, we appreciate you guys. I'll throw it back over to Shane to close us out for the night.
Appreciate it, Trey. You guys, yes, we will see you in the middle of June. June. It will be June 13th, 2025. Um, I might have to move it to June 26th, Trey, because I will be gone that weekend for Hoop Fest. So if you can do it Thursday late night, or we just have a month break, you and I will talk about it. But everyone, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. This was the West Coast Podcast.